Hi, I'm Sarah. Hi guys, it's Friday. That means we have a new HOH and BB23 live feed updates. But first, if you're new to this channel, please click subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. How y'all doing? You guys, we have a new HOH. We had a dramatic HOH comp. Early noms have already happened, and they are currently playing the, what is it, high roller room? Is that what we're calling it? Hello. Oh, I am so excited to see if we're going to get to see any of the results, because I'm sure some people are going to keep it a secret, but most people know that they need to tell us to the camera. So at least hopefully we will get to know. Let's get to it. Kyland won HOH last night. It was a knockout style comp. Therefore, drama. Of course, this is why I love those comps. I was really hoping that's what it was, and it was. And his noms he had to do first thing this morning are Claire and Derek Frazier. Big D. Claire and Big D up on the block, you guys. And then a couple hours after noms, hour or so, the feeds went down for the twist. And it's been hours, but this has to be, this is what we're assuming. It was going to take several hours because they individually will have to go into the DR or a room of sorts, find out what their votes were they top, middle, bottom, how many BB bucks they got, then choose to play. If they're playing, it seems like it's probably an individual game. So yeah, gonna take hours, you guys. Claire for all the powers. The powers, vetoes, all of it. Yeah, I love knockout comps, and this was the perfect timing because people showed their cards even when you thought they were super safe and didn't need to show their cards. So let's back it up with, let's start talking about the HOH comp and the drama that came out of that. I voted for Claire too. Okay. HOH knockout style comp. Apparently, Brittany was one of the first to go, therefore choose who's going to, go up together and knock out each other. And she chose Kyland and Sarah Beth right off the bat. Kyland and Sarah Beth right off the bat. Don't know if this legitimately got into Kyland's head. He already knew that the house was hoping to get Sarah Beth out this week, so it didn't even need to happen. He's probably just using this as an excuse, but that set the tone for for Kyland to, in essence, gun for this HOH, I guess you could say, slash just not throw it. Just he's not going to throw it. It does get down to the last 6 playing are the 6 of the cookout. So all of them know they're safe. No, you should not fear when you look around, in the last 6 of this HOH comp are in your alliance, the cookout. Kyland chose Azza to go up and play at least 2 times. It sounded like maybe 3 or 4 times, but he chose Azza a few times at least, if not several times, for Azza to go up there. This doesn't sit well with Azza. And there were conversations where Xavier agreed to throw the comp to Tiffany. And possibly he also said, Azza as well, one or the other. Depends on who's telling the story on what these details are. It gets down, first off, Xavier, not ever chosen. He doesn't get to play in the knockout comp until he's one of the last and he has to play. Always good to note who that person is. There's always someone who's in such a good position that they are never even chosen to play in the knockout comp. Just log that, file that in your little back pocket there. Xavier goes up against Tiffany, throws it to Tiffany. Tiffany then ends up next to Kyland for the last one. Somewhere in here, Kyland beat Azza. Does not throw it to Azza. Again, details are blurry, but he did not throw it to Azza. Kyland, Tiffany on the very last question together. Kyland waits for Tiffany to answer. Tiffany answers wrong. Therefore, Kyland wins and is HOH. When the feeds come back, Tiffany's crying, Azza's crying, all upset. It sounded like Tiffany thought that Kyland took it, but Kyland says he waited for her to answer and she answered incorrectly. So who's to say? Who's to say if he was gunning for it? Some people say he should have just answered incorrectly. Kyland says he didn't know the answer, was not able to do that, and that this just accidentally fell into his lap because Tiffany was wrong. Apparently, no one cheered. Very awkward is what they said. And Tiffany basically said she was like Davon, couldn't get the right answer there at the end, does not win. So, people mad at people. Obviously, Kyland knew that Sarah Beth was going to be the target this week. Suspicious that he won the HOH. Now, I have been talking about this for days. That Kyland has been planting seeds of like, of course, I'll throw the comp, if I can. But, if I can't, I guess I'll put up Claire. He's been saying it for days. I've been worried about it for days. Here we are. He made sure he won to protect Sarah Beth because he knew she was next. And it's time for him to target Claire. I sent all my votes to Claire last night. She's the one in trouble. I want her to do well. So they decided, or Big Brother told Kyland, and thank goodness he told us, that they were going to do nominations at 10:30 a.m. this morning, Big Brother time. So he had to do all of his talks last night. Now, true to Kyland form, all of his talks are a little bit different. He tells different people different information. But ultimately, the conversations within the cookout are which one of our pawns, because here we are, we're down to Cookout plus their plus ones, right? There's nobody else in the house. Cookout has a plus one. Which of those plus ones, they call them pawns, which of these pawns goes home? What is this order? Obviously, Kyland's not going to put up Sarah Beth. There was a time where Kyland was like, if I have to, I will. And I was like, don't even play with me like this, Kyland. You're not putting Sarah Beth up. Luckily, Hannah was like, that's not even a good look for you. Even if we were all like, yeah, Sarah Beth has to go, why would you burn your jury vote? Why would you put her up? Not a good look. It doesn't make sense. She's like, I'm not putting up Derek X. Tiffany's not putting up Claire. Xavier's not putting up Alyssa. Like, that's just the way it goes. Like, stop playing. And I was like, thank you, Hannah. Thank you. Which one of them is going to be the target? He's made it clear it was going to be Claire, even though other people were like, oh, I think it should be Alyssa. Several people, Hannah, Azza, people were Derek Frazier, people were like, well, then Alyssa, like if it's not going to be Sarah Beth, it should be Alyssa. And Kyland is not super receptive to that because I think he's just, dead set on Claire. But I also think he's keeping Xavier close to him. Like he doesn't want to take Xavier's other, he had a +2 there for a minute, and now he would be taking away the second of his pluses. So even though he's having different conversations with different people, it's obvious that his target was Claire. He does have to worry about these powers. A lot of talk about who's going to get votes. This house all over the place. They have no idea who's popular enough to get votes. They, Alyssa thinks that, she's going to get them because of the showmance. Xavier thinks she's going to get them because she has a high Instagram account from her business. And maybe she will. I don't know. But like, they're all over the map. They think Xavier's going to get top votes. I don't think that one's going to happen. He's just not that prominent in the episode, is he? I mean, I think he's got a good edit. Anyway, they're all over the map with who's going to get the votes and therefore who's going to be able to get powers. So who goes up next to Claire? That's the question. And the Cookout has prepared themselves that you can put someone from the Cookout up against the pawn. They have the votes to send out the pawn. They always have the votes to protect the Cookout. And so it also helps to, keep it private, keep the Cookout private or not show it, I'd say. So I think he originally wanted Tiffany. He also, I think, originally wanted Azza. But he somewhat made up with Tiffany. Tiffany was on a bit of a campaign last night to make amends with people. Derek X was like, you gotta keep your emotions in check. Like, it's fine to feel emotions, but you can't let them affect your relationships with other people. And she really listened and she took that in. She did not get defensive. She heard him. They talked about it. And then she went on a little apology tour. She apologized to Sarah Beth. She apologized to Kyland. They discussed a whole bunch of like miscommunications over the last couple weeks. They've, pulled apart and they both sort of blamed the other person, but then came to the terms of like, we're both to blame. Let's do better. So I think he wasn't so gung-ho to put her up. He'd still have an excuse if he puts Claire up to put her partner up. Then he had this just absolutely painful conversation with Azza. Azza was obviously hurt because he chose her multiple times in the comp. Can't really blame her for that. And she was like, what's up with that? Why you do that? And if you've listened to Kyland, obviously edited in the show, it's different. But if you listen to him on the feeds, he talks in circles. He'll start one way, then he'll go another way, and then he'll go another way, and he'll go another way. And then sometimes you're like, I don't think he ever answered the question. And so she's like, why'd you do this? And he was like, so in the theory of life, and there was a comp that we played, and blah, blah. She's like, you're not answering me. And he was like, your tone's not good. We're not getting anywhere. They were both defensive. He was directing her on how she should speak to him. It was a bit mansplaining. It was very gaslighty. I don't know how she didn't murder him right there in that HOH room. But, hi, Diana. But she didn't. She kept her calm and her cool, and it lasted way too long, about an hour and a half, where she was like, you still haven't answered me. Why did you keep picking me? Why did you not throw the comp? Why are you HOH when you know Sarah Beth was supposed to go? Like, he couldn't answer any of those. And she eventually was like, I gotta go. Like, this is just not getting anywhere. And he was like, you know what? I hope that we in the future can repair a relationship. And she was like, okay, whatever. She leaves and she's like, I got a whole like Tom, what's his name? Tony Robbins. She's like, I got a whole bunch of Tony Robbins answers. She's like, it's like he reads books on how to be successful and like, that's all he does. And I was like, yes, that's exactly it. he speaks about this conflict resolution that he studied at Pepperdine. I don't know if that's his degree. Is that his degree or if that's just part of his degree? But he's very proud of it. And he tries to use it in all of his conversations. And it's like, you should just relate to people instead of doing this conflict resolution because you're not actually connecting with people. But anyway, I think because that didn't go well, he might have taken Azah off his list of Cookout member to sit next to Claire. So at 5 a.m., you guys, whew, what a night it was. 5 a.m., he finally talks to Derek Frazier. And Derek is listening to Kyland. And it's interesting because Kyland can manipulate Derek. He'll be like, Derek will say, I guess Sarah Beth should go up. And Kyland's like, yeah, if I have to. And Derek's like, there's no way you can do that. I guess it'll have to be one of us. And he's like, oh, you think? Kyland's like, oh, you think? As if Derek Frazier just came up with this idea. And I was like, wow, Derek just is putty in Kyland's hands right here. And Kyland is able to direct the conversation to get Derek to volunteer to go up and sit next to Claire / Alyssa. He's one of those that thinks it might be Alyssa. Kyland played like it might be Alyssa to a few people and that Claire will just go up in case there's a power or something, and then Alyssa will go up. But we all know Claire is the target here. So Derek Frazier is able to step up to the plate. He's going to keep Brittany and Azah off of the block, and he's going to volunteer to be the pawn. And Kyland has the mist for Derek. Derek is misted by Kyland. That beautiful smile and his corporate conflict resolution speak, I guess, is music to Derek's ears. I don't know. So that's his plan. He set it in motion. This morning, the feeds went down for noms. Come back. It is Claire and Derek Frazier on the block. And for some reason, Derek is playing it up. He's doing an act. He's like, I had to storm off because I didn't want to, call him a B in front of her. I didn't want to interrupt his speech. Derek's putting on the show, which I guess you have to because you would expect that from Derek, Big D. If he were to ever be nominated, he'd go off. So just because he knew he was being nominated, so he still has to look like he's going off. But he still sat down with Brittany and Azah and didn't tell them the truth, which I thought was odd. I understand lying to Brittany, but I don't understand lying to Azah. Maybe he'll fill her in later. But as of, before they went down for the high roller, he was like, I know I'm the target. I know I'm the one going to Azah and Brittany. And I was like, what is this performance? What are we doing? What is this storyline? I don't understand. But he's doing it. And now Derek, little D, Derek X, and Claire, who are in an alliance with Kyland, not the Cookout, one called the Detectives. It's with Tiffany, the four of them. They're confused. Why? We're in alliance. Why would Claire go up on the block? And, Kyland's, he's sort of playing it off of like, I don't know, these powers. I just don't, just had to put a couple people up. Going to see how the week plays out. Give myself a couple days to figure out who I really want to be evicted. This is what he's telling people, or Derek and Claire. And the two of them, I have faith in them. They can start to figure this out. This doesn't look good. And I really have been sitting and trying to figure out Kyland's game here. It looks shady to the Cookout that they all said Sarah Beth's next and Kyland took the HOH. Doesn't look great to the Cookout. Then he puts Claire up an ally who she doesn't know about the cookout, doesn't look good to her. Derek X, another ally, doesn't look good to him. I am not sure that Kylan is going to come out of this HOH well at all. It just doesn't look good from many angles. And I understand protecting Sarah Beth for his game. I understand that. And I understand targeting Claire. She is Tiffany's lieutenant. She is a vital part to Tiffany's game. And to weaken Tiffany, take out Claire. I understand all of it. These are not bad moves, but the way that it's happening is so obvious and shady to people who are aligned with you, right? If he had waited one more week, wouldn't have been so obvious. If it hadn't been a knockout comp, wouldn't have been so obvious. So it just doesn't look good from a lot of angles. He's getting caught in a lot of lies. And I just am not sure how he's going to get through this week without a ton of damage to his game. I really feel like this is going to blow up. Again, I agree. These are good moves for him, but also going to blow up in his face just because the way it's going about. That's my concern. I think that was the bulk of the drama. Ozza said he's playing for Sarah Beth and him. And exactly. That's 100% what this is. And that's why it looks bad, is because it's just so obvious. Like we all know he's playing for him and Sarah Beth. And we can't fault him too much for that, because Tiffany, she tried to save Christian. Tiffany wants to save Claire, but she doesn't want to do the mistakes that Kylan is doing. You know, Ozza and Big D, they've been playing to protect Brittany. X has been trying to protect Christian and Alyssa left and right. Like, we get it. They all have these people that they want to keep for their game. You just have to balance not making it so obvious to the cookout, right? Because ultimately you're saying it's okay that they go because the cookout comes first. I don't think Kylan believes that. I don't think he believes that deep down. Yes, Big D is the pawn. Claire is the target. Some people think Alyssa is the target and Claire is just a smokescreen right now. Kylan was also like, I want people to think that I'm really close to the Kings. That's why I didn't put any of the Kings up. And I wanted them to think I'm not close to Claire and the Queens. Like, these are some of the excuses that you're like, this does not add up, buddy. You know, Derek X and Claire are like, he must have made a deal. Like, he must have all these other deals if Claire's the one going up. And yes, go more with that. Where does that lead you? Think about that. Talk about that. I'm hoping that Claire got a ton of votes. The casuals don't know she's in trouble, so she might not have got a ton of votes. But if the feedsters got in and gave her a bunch of votes last night, Claire, as a super fan, will go, I got a bunch of votes because they knew I was in trouble. That, you put those pieces together, you might be able to start figuring things out. So sad for Claire. I hope Tiff would change her mind about keeping her longer. I mean, I'm not going to put anything past Tiffany. We've seen every day is different. She can't fight too much right now or else she looks shady like Kylan. She has to go, oh, shoot, I'm going to lose Claire. Okay. She has to roll with it, but she's not going to just completely roll with it. If we can get anyone else up on the block besides Derek Frazier, if Claire stays on the block, but someone else is next to her that's not in the cookout, Claire will be able to stay. They'll figure that out. But if you put a cookout member next to her, which is exactly what Kylan did, then guaranteed Derek stays, Claire goes. Yeah, Claire is high in the polls because those of us who, are watching the feeds realized she was in trouble last night and she shot up. So I'm hoping that was enough to just help her clue in. If she realizes, I probably got votes because I'm in trouble. I really am a target here, not just a pawn. Who did he make deals with? Let's talk it out. Sit down with Derek X. He's smart. You guys compare notes, figure this out. Kai is looking shady because as the cookout as a whole, they agreed this week they were going to take Sarah Beth out. That was the agreement. And Kylan agreed to throw the comp so that the rest of the cookout or whoever could take Sarah Beth out. Instead of throwing it, he won the comp, won HOH, therefore Sarah Beth cannot go out. And so that's how he looks shady at the cookout. The way he looks shady for his other alliance called the Detectives, that's with Derek X, Claire, and Tiffany. If they think they're in an alliance, why would you put Claire up? So he's lying to a lot of people, and it's just not adding up to a lot of people. So I'm worried this is going to backfire. And I'm worried, but also excited. I'm worried that this is going to reveal the cookout, because this is the most hints that the rest of the house has gotten as of yet. I would have thought a double eviction would be coming up as well, but I think because we've got these twists, and that's for 3 weeks, I think they'll wait. These 3 weeks will happen with powers, then we'll have a double eviction, I think. All this to save Sarah Beth, but she's his number one. Derek would have done all of this for Cody. Tyler would have done all of this for Casey. That's what they do. She better fight for Claire like she did for Christian. Yes, Jess, I think she will. But first, we're going to wait to see if she gets a power. Then we're going to see if she can win Veto. Then they'll have to get into gear and see. Yeah, Tiffany's words, they're taking Claire from me. Yeah, she's not happy about it, but she can't make a big stink about it because then you look like Kylan. Or X. X made a big stink about his. I guess they all have. Ozzy makes a big stink about Brittany. Yeah, Derek X is definitely, I think Derek X and Hannah are guaranteed to be in the top vote getters. No, Sarah Beth would only go up if everyone else in the house got powers. Not happening. What are your thoughts on Derek X? He's been my winner pick all season. Well, I love Derek X. Derek X started at the bottom. Now he's here. He is a recruit who knew next to nothing, had one of the worst first weeks of someone who wasn't evicted in the first week. And he is such a good student, quick learner. He has learned so much, and he had a stellar HOH. I think he's doing great. And he's also one of the funniest people I have ever seen. He is purely entertaining on the feeds. He cracks jokes left and right that I actually laugh at. He and Azza are two very funny people. They're very, very funny. And I don't know if everyone talks enough about that. Good point. Gray would have done this for Amanda. I don't know who is. So Danielle asks, who do you actually think are the top 3 vote getters? I think Derek X and Hannah, and then hopefully Claire. But I don't know who the casuals like. I was actually asking people online last night, like, who are the casuals talking about? Who's getting the good edit? That, like, I don't. It's hard to see that stuff because I'm blocked by the feeds. So I watch the show differently. I would have thought that it would have been Tiffany for the casuals, except that then she had that fight with Derek Frazier the night before, and I don't know if she lost points for that. You know what I mean? What if Claire gets taken off the block? Yeah, so if she gets a power or wins the veto or somehow gets off the block, it should be Alyssa going up next. He doesn't want to do Alyssa because of X, but it does sound like Alyssa is a higher priority than Brittany. X would like it to be Brittany. But most of the cookout agrees that Brittany is the last one to take out, that she's not a threat. They don't think she knows what's going on in the game. She'll flip-flop to anyone and everyone. They just don't feel like she's worth taking out yet. But if X gets into Kylan's head, then it will be Brittany instead of Alyssa. Tiffany wants it to be Alyssa. Azza wants it to be Alyssa. Derek Fraser wants it to be Alyssa. Hannah wants it to be Alyssa. So those 4 have been pushing Alyssa as the big first target. Kylan was like, yeah, Alyssa, but I'm going to put up Claire. So yeah, Derek. So Mason says my parents are casuals and they voted for DX. I think Derek X is across the board a fan favorite for casuals and feedsters. Ooh, yes. I saw Brittany's name floating around. Jess says, I bet that makes sense. I bet casuals feel bad for her for being on the block all the time. So I wonder, that would be amazing if Brittany gets top tier votes. She won't be able to keep that a secret. She's going to tell everybody. She's going to feel so good about it. And the rest of the house is going to be like, wait, what? They didn't see that one coming. Sebastian asking why is Claire nominated? Because Claire is Tiffany's number 1 and Kylan has to weaken Tiffany. She is his biggest competition in the game. There is basically a war brewing between Tiffany and Kylan. Even though there's a little bit of a ceasefire, there's never really a ceasefire. Oh my God, Heather, that's such a good point. The cookout doesn't know Brittany has the biggest social media following. There was so much talk about Alyssa's social media following, and it's not even Alyssa's accounts. It's like her companies and also like Hooters or something. Hooters is like promoting her. But that's true. Brittany's TikTok fandom is bigger than the Big Brother account. I saw someone post that. Dana asked why Claire over Alyssa. Mostly because of Tiffany. From Kylan's perspective, Tiffany is the one he wants to weaken. She's the smartest threat strategically for him in the game. And they were close and then they kind of fell apart. And Tiffany has been riding hard to get Sarah Beth out, which is his number 1. So he wants to weaken Claire. He also does not want to tick off X. X is an ally for him that he wants to keep happy. So X does not want Alyssa gone. So he's prioritizing Claire over Alyssa. Oh, Dudley, yes. I feel like there's so many wars going on inside the cookout that they're all going to crumble very soon. I agree. Like, I thought they were going to be not loyal after Wednesday night. I thought that was it. But for the sake of the cause, they have made up, and they're going to at least make it one more week. They're trying their best. Tracy says X is going to win the game and no one in the cookout is looking at him. No. Again, the knockout comp last night is the biggest tell. X was not chosen to play in the knockout comp. He did not get to play until he was last and he had to play. That tells the whole house. Everyone loves X. No one's worried about X. X will float to the end. I mean, depends on who he sits next to. That type of game doesn't get my vote. Like, I'd hate for him to win if all he did was just sit pretty, but he's got plenty of time to make some moves, so could win. Judith is asking, who are the casuals? Casuals are people who just watch the TV show. They don't watch any feeds. They don't watch me. They don't read updates. They don't know spoilers. Those people are called casuals. And they vote. They vote just as much as we do. And so you have to take into account that people vote and don't have all of the information. They only know the edited information. Paul says SB's realization that chrysalis was a thing was 3 weeks late. I am shocked that Sarah Beth did not know Christian and Alyssa were an actual showmance until last night when Christian kissed her on the way out. Sarah Beth, their teammate. Worst read in the house, Sarah Beth. I mean, now Derek X also was like falling for like maybe they are just friends. Like some other people were like, I mean, maybe they're just friends, but like, what? What? Have the feeds ever been down this long? This is my first season, really getting to BB, and I love it. Feeds and all. Yay! Welcome to being a feedster, Dudley. Does change the show for you. Yeah. It's not often, but there are some Veto comps, and obviously this is an extra twist comp that are individual. Like the one hide and go Veto, where they run into the house and they hide the Veto inside. Anything that's individual can take hours. And that's what we're doing right now. This high roller comp is individual. They had to go in individually, find out how many BB bucks they got, decide if they're going to play individually. So yeah, those comps, they do happen occasionally, maybe just like a few times each season where we'll lose feeds for a bulk of a day, but it's not like every week. Yes, Kathy, it will be interesting to see who uses their BB bucks and who holds it for the next week. Yeah. Claire better use it. But yeah, I'm also it'll be interesting just to see exactly how this twist is going to work, how the powers are going to actually work. I hope we get some details when the feeds do come back. Ooh, good question, Tracy. Where would you hide your Veto? I don't know, but the day I move in, I'd be looking for a spot. I like in the back of like the freezer. Who was that? Was that James or somebody who did like bottom back of the freezer? That worked really well. I don't think I would put it in anybody's stuff, not like clothing or underwear or anything like that. Stuff always gets dumped out. But like sometimes more obvious spots, like the middle of the couch, places you see every day, but that you take for granted, is what I would be looking for when I lived in the house. If I were in the house, I would take the time to really investigate that stuff. Yeah, the fact that the feeds have been down for so long, it might mean that several house guests are playing. There was Hannah was trying to pitch that the Cookout not play, maybe just Derek Frazier would be the only Cookout member to play. She said that they should basically all hoard their BB bucks and play towards the end, but I don't know if anyone was convinced of that. Heather, can they pull their money? It sounds like they might be able to. Don't know for sure, but there was definitely talk about, you know, saving up their money together. So they seem to think they might be able to. I think there's some rules about up how high you can go. But yeah, I think going high is key. I think people don't look up as much. Who got the most BB bucks? Is that your question? We don't know yet. Feeds are still down. Been down for, I don't know, like 6 hours or something. 5 hours and counting, I'm seeing on Twitter. So we'll know at some point tonight who our top people, well, hopefully we'll know. I think some people are planning to keep things a secret. There was some really funny stuff. Again, Derek X, one of the funniest people in the world. He and Ozza and Derek Frazier were laughing about like how some people were going to want to try to keep it a secret, but like Derek Frazier wouldn't be able to. And he'd just walk out and be like, I got so much money. I want a power. You know, like they were making fun of each other and it was very, very cute. So the only thing we know so far is that Claire is on the block sitting next to Big D. Claire is Kylan's target. She is a target for the Cookout in general, although the majority of the Cookout would have preferred to take Sarah Beth. Obviously, she's off the table, so Alyssa is the majority of their pick. If there is something that happens with Claire saving herself, I believe Alyssa will be the next target, but it also could be Brittany. She is also a non-Cookout member that is on the list to go here. They don't seem to want to target Derek X yet. Obviously, Kylan wouldn't be the one to take him out anyway. Although, sad news, you guys. Last night, Hannah sat down with Kylan and she was like, Derek has to go sooner rather than later. And she even like paused and got emotional. She was like, not like super emotional, but she got like a smidge choked up. And she was like, it makes me sad to even think about it. But I think he needs to go next or really, really soon. And I was like, Hannah, stop it. Don't say that, Hannah. But she's worried he's going to be difficult to get out and that he's smart. He'll figure things out. But I hope he figures it out this week. I hope he and Claire get together, figure it out, make it messy, stir the pot, get all up in there. Will the Cookout survive? So far, some days I say no, but today, yeah, they did a bunch of making up and apologizing. Tiffany and Ozza, both crying. Last night, they got to bond over being mad at Kylan together. Great, brought them back together, you know? I want Derek X to almost, I agree. Trez. I want Derek X to win. He's one of my faves. He is definitely one of my faves, and I want him to go as far as he possibly can. I will be devastated when Derek leaves. I will be pretty devastated when Claire leaves as well. Yeah. Yeah, Tiff and Ozza, they have an interesting relationship. They really can have some good times together, and then they can not have good times together. So I don't know. I don't get it. Everyone will get at least 50 BB bucks. Yep. First 3 get 100. Next 3 get 75. The rest get 50. I think that leaves 5, right? 5 and 6. Yeah. The bottom 5 will get 50 BB bucks. And those people, nobody wants. There was plenty of talk last night. Nobody wants to be those people. Nobody wants 50. Oh, Ben, you started 10th grade. Congrats. You're almost done. Hang in there. 10th grade is fun. I like 10th grade. Hang in there. Just remember, it gets better. People say high school is the time of your life. No, it gets better. Nope. If they have the hide and go veto, Big D will have a heart attack. Big D is going to hide it right inside the door. He's not going to go past any other rooms. He's going to look around the kitchen, and then he's going to walk back out. Neil, what do you mean when Derek X leaves? He won't leave. Your lips to God's ears. Ooh, Danielle, what a wonderful question. Who would be your ideal final two, final four? I was really digging Derek X, Kylan, Tiffany, Claire as a final four. That's obviously not going to work. I also like Tiffany, Claire, Derek, Hannah as a final four. I'm afraid none of that's going to work. I would love to see Tiffany, Claire as a final two. I'd love to see Tiffany, Derek X as a final two. And part of me also would love to see Ozza and Brittany as a final two. You know, it depends on my mood. Has anyone figured out the cookout yet? We are so close. No, they have not. But we have had Claire point out all the members of Cookout are close to X. X is close with Kylan. X is close with Tiffany. X is close with Derek Fraser. X is close with. She named everyone with the Cookout. We've had Alyssa say, wow, this house is full of minorities. There's only 3 white people left. We're getting close. But no one has figured it out yet. But I kind of feel like this is the week. This is the week. Kylan's HOH is messy. An ally named Claire is going on the block. Derek is confused about it, little D. This is the week. I predict. I don't know. Maybe. Val, thank you. Yeah, no, I stayed up till 4 a.m. last night, and it was painful. I sat through that entire conversation between Oz and Kylan, and it was painful. But you got to do it, because we need to have all of the details. They lie so much. You got to hear all the conversations. Got to listen to it all. A Brittany final two would be so iconic. Yes, give me all the raps. Brittany, I want them. Is she giving us like little Tara vibes from BB Can 9? We counted her out really early, but then she like lasts. I don't know. Triaz. I'm not digging Tiffany. She's getting too bossy. She told us preseason she's controlling, and that tracks. But you know what? There's a lot of controlling people in this house, and you gotta keep it in check. You gots to keep it in check. Oh, you were up till 5:20. You got to listen to the Derek, the Kylan Derek Fraser conversation live. I had to go back and watch it. I could not. I was just so mad at Kylan by that point. I like stormed away from my feeds and was like, I cannot listen anymore. Sometimes you got to take a break, you know? I know, Mason, BB Twitter hates the raps, but BB Twitter hates a lot of things. So I ignore half of what BB Twitter says. Actually, I actually muted Brittany's name. When people like lost their minds over her rap and made fun of her, I muted Brittany's name. And then all of a sudden people started liking her. And so I unmuted her name. That's the key to my sanity, guys. The mute feature on Twitter. That's how I get through. Thank you, Dolores. Yeah, on the East Coast, Kathy. I don't know how East Coast does it. It does not. Okay, treasure. Thank you. I'm going to try to remember that. Treasure. Danielle, are you going to go live again tomorrow after everything that happens tonight and then tomorrow after the veto happens? No, I do not. Danielle, I take Saturdays is my Survivor South Africa day, so I'll be live for that. And then on Mondays, I recap the Sunday night episode and all the weekend live feed spoilers. I do that on Monday. And this Monday, Miranda is going to join me again. She joined me this last Monday, and it was so fun. So she's going to come back and join me again this Monday. How do you mute just a name? That is an option. If you go into content, it's like content preferences, click on that, and then it's like muted words or muted accounts. Those are your options. You can mute like political stuff. You can mute. Oh, I also have Love Island muted because all my mutuals are into Love Island right now, and I don't got time for those tweets. So that's muted right now. You know, you just got to do what you got to do to keep your sanity. That's all. Yay! Glad you like that. I do not. Heather listens to the feeds. We're on Twitter at the same time. And even she and I hear things differently. Like that's like why it's so important to hear all these conversations and not just read updates, because these people are liars. And they tell one person one thing, they tell the next person the next thing. And if you're not getting all those conversations, you might just believe one of them. And, you know, it's crazy. How are we feeling about the draft? Well, Busy is still somehow in the lead. My girl Claire, she's losing points right now. I need her to win some comps, get me some more points. I have Kyland on my team, so I'm getting some points from him. So I'm okay in the draft. Miranda, not okay in the draft. Pisces, Sagittarius, power duo. That's me and my mom, too. My mom's a Pisces. It's always been a power duo for me. Yeah. He's not going to get points after Christian, but he got enough points. He's sitting pretty for a minute. Sitting pretty. Oh my gosh, the incorrect updates accounts. Yeah. People in the chat will be like, this thing just happened, and it's from an incorrect update. Got to pay attention to that. All right, well, you guys, that's it. That's basically the bulk. We got through it. Can't wait to find out what these powers are, who got some BB bucks. Be interested to see all of that. And like I said, I'll be back on Monday to talk about everything we learned this weekend, talk about Sunday's episode. And then if you're watching Survivor South Africa with me, that is tomorrow. But you guys, thank you for joining me in the chat. I appreciate your questions and your insight. Love it. If you're joining me later, leave me a comment, please. Let me know how you're feeling about this Kyland HOH. Are you as concerned about his game as I am? How do you feel about Claire as a target? Let me know how you feel about the cookout in general. Are they going to make it? All that good stuff. All right. You guys have a wonderful weekend. Talk to you later. Bye.